It is time now for an interview with the one and only Ted Axe. I'm going to get the phone plugged in. And Ted, are you there?
Hi, how are you?
Good, man. So you're in Toronto, Canada, right?
Yeah.
So what's it like in Toronto?
Toronto, actually, a ghost town.
Really? Because of the...
Yeah.
Is there a lockdown going down there?
Pardon me?
Is everybody on lockdown there?
Yeah, absolutely. People encouraged to stay in, and I live right near the biggest park in the city, and that closed up yesterday. They closed the park.
Well, I guess...
But still, unfortunately, I guess we have people in the park today because it was such a beautiful day today. Sun was out, and everyone seems to forget what's going on.
Yeah, well, hopefully they're keeping the distance in case there is some infection going on. But, man, I guess you're keeping yourself inside, right?
Yes, absolutely. Only going out when absolutely necessary.
So let me...
And on the streets, it's kind of like, you have to be kind of vigilant.
Yeah.
Because you want to stay away from people, and still quite a few people walking around here and there.
Well, you know what? About 6 months ago, I remember finding out about you on the internet, and I know that you were a part of Canada's very first punk rock band, The Action, and you're the founder of the Seattle-based glam rock band called Sister Hyde. But I'd like to ask you about The Action. Now, is it true The Action was the very first punk rock band from Canada?
Yeah, absolutely. We were started up in '76.
Wow.
And there wasn't a lot of anything going on. And so today, it's considered a bit of a legendary band, as we were chosen to tour with the Ramones and the Stranglers back in the day.
Wow.
But, it's great to have that kind of history these days, something like that going on.
Now, how long did The Action stay together as a band?
Well, it stayed together for quite a while after, but did go through some personnel changes, and didn't really, after that, we ran into some record label problems, so we never really recorded a full-fledged, we never even recorded a full-fledged LP. It's just an EP that's become quite a collector's item. And since it was before, the internet, there's not much of a digital imprint.
Yeah. When you went on tour with the Ramones, who did you find to be the coolest member of the Ramones?
Wow. Well, I was like Dee Dee. But it was Johnny that steered the machine. And he was kind of a very industrious performer. He knew a lot about performance, and one of the interesting things I learned from him back then was just where to focus on stage. And he always had this idea that if you stared at a certain part, picked out a part in the back wall, and focused on that, that's the way to perform. It looks like you're looking at everyone, at the same time.
Wow. So you were on tour with the Stranglers and the Ramones at the same time, or were those separate tours?
Both separate tours. The Stranglers was first, and then we got a record deal in Montreal, Quebec, and our management put us on tour with the Ramones. Very cool.
Are you or were you ever friends with Joey Keithley from DOA?
I do know him. In fact, once the Action reformed, and that's when we got onto Death Records, his label.
Oh, okay.
Death.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah. I know Joey. He's been a guest on the show, but I did not know you guys were connected on that label. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then we got on REV out of Europe at the same time. So we had two record deals going back in 2010.
Wow. So do you have many of your constituents that are still left alive from back in '76, or have you seen a lot of people kind of drop off like flies, or no?
I haven't really kept kept in touch even too much with the band. I know our old guitarist from the Action has got some cancer going on, so that doesn't look good for him. But haven't really been keeping in touch with too many of the old fans. Kind of focusing on what I'm doing now, more than that. So right now I got a new album out called Sex, Horror, and Violence.
Ooh, Sex, Horror, and Violence. Now, is your song is your song Get Out of Rehab on that album?
Yes.
Okay, because after the chat, we're going to play your song, which is really good. It's called Get Out of Rehab. It's got great production. Who did your production and mixing, man? It's good.
Oh, thanks very much. It's this guy, this producer called Rob Sanzo, and he's worked with Sum 41.
Okay.
And also a few Canadian bands like Danko Jones. But really, his claim to fame is Sum 41. And it's interesting because this album was recorded like all the old days ones on analog.
Okay.
As opposed to a digital recording, it's all analog, which is 2-inch tape.
Yeah, much warmer.
So we're able to get that kind of vintage, warm sound.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah. So am I. Are
you familiar with the Canadian radio broadcaster known as Nerdwar?
I'm not, no.
Okay, he's a really trippy, eccentric DJ that broadcasts on community radio in Canada, and he's done interviews with like some of the like biggest names in the entertainment industry, as well as like punk rockers. And yeah, I thought maybe I'd ask you because he's got kind of a cool reputation. Thought I'd see if you might have heard of that dude.
Yeah, Nerdwar, and it's Nardware.
Yeah, so he would be someone that would probably love to interview you because he loves to interview like a lot of Canadians that have history with punk rock and rock bands. So yeah, you should check out Nardwar. He'd probably dig you, man.
Oh, that'd be great. I'll have to check him out. I think the industry has changed back then. Certainly, I have. The whole thing was a bit of a daze back then, and more than often, I had a beer bottle in my hand, so don't remember too much about those days.
I can relate, brother. Are you? Yeah. Are you a partier today? Or are you sober today?
Yeah, I'm totally sober. Do the odd thing. Like I think you just played a song that you had designated a song for a particular activity, and I do some of that still.
Yeah. Well, how did you get your name Ted Axe? Is that your real name, or how did you get the name Axe?
Well, actually, my girlfriend at the time started up. I was going, man, I need a name for my punk band, and he said, well, how about Ted Axe? Because it goes with the Action so well. So it was like, a lot of the time it was Ted Axe and the Action we were known by. And I got that kind of punk ethic about my performance, but my performance is quite dramatic and theatric. More in the vein of an Alice Cooper, I think, right now. There's a lot of smoke on stage, and I kind of stalk the stage with a lot of theatrics, gestures, what have you. Not too many people doing what I'm doing. I wear a top hat on stage and leather trench coat, and I'm all about the darkness and the smoke on stage and the strobe lights and what have you.
That's very cool. There's not a lot of, like you said, there's not a lot of people in rock and roll continuing that tradition and that kind of vaudeville, theatrical, really old school, awesome rock and roll approach. So that's cool that you're doing that, man. I'm a fan of that big time.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, people want to see a show. They don't want to see just some guys standing around.
Yeah.
No matter how good they are, really, because especially now when, people have a low tolerance for inactivity, and, they want to see something, like, erupt right away.
It's true, man. It's true. Are there any other standout songs on your album besides the Rehab song that you would, off the top of your head, that you would think are the best tunes on the album?
Well, I just did a video this fall for a song called Death Us Do Part, which is actually a song about marriage and the cons of marriage rather than the pros of it.
Right.
And I can't think of too many other songs about marriage, but of course, Until Death Do Us Part is one of the vows that one takes at the altar. So Death Has to Part, that's on YouTube. Death Has to Part by Ted Axe. That's a bit of a standout track. And there's a lot of good ones. Sex, Violence, and Horror is the title track off the album. And if you're into kind of an AC/DC vibe, there's one called Insatiable, which rocks.
Nice. And if people want to, after hearing the song we're going to play, if they want to look up Ted Axe to get the new album, is it pretty easy to find on the internet?
Yeah, I get my personal site for the album is www.tedaxe.bandcamp.com, like summer camp, bandcamp.com, and that way if they buy it from me, it's buying it from the artist rather than from somewhere else.
Yeah, that's great, man. And also your band Sister Hyde, is that band still going, or is that a past thing?
That is a past thing, because I stopped that about 2015, 2014. But that's also on Bandcamp. You can look that up, www.sisterhyde.bandcamp.com.
Yeah, Sister Hyde, that's a great band name, by the way. Mr. Hyde, Sister Hyde, I love it.
Yeah, it's after a horror movie from the 70s where the Sister Hyde not only turned into a bit of a monster, but he also turned into a woman.
Oh, interesting.
hence Sister Hyde as opposed to Mr. Hyde.
Nice, man.
But we also, back then we had, we started off in Seattle just at the end of the grunge era, and it's a glam band, so having a glam band in Seattle was kind of challenging because it just doesn't usually happen.
Because you weren't wearing flannel shirts, thank God.
Right, yeah, we wear makeup and the whole nine yards, and it's like finding a glam band in Seattle is like finding a raised toilet seat in the Vatican. It just doesn't happen. So that was pretty interesting.
So who are some of your favorite, off the top of your head, who are some of your favorite rock and or punk rock bands of all time?
Well, I was lucky enough to I worked one night with Alice Cooper setting up his stuff at a stadium in Ottawa, Canada, after playing hooky from school for the Killer tour, and the roadies picked me up on their way to the concert, and I got in the afternoon and helped set up the show. It was also the first time I'd seen anything like an iceberg of Peruvian cocaine, which they pass out from the front into the back, which I'd never seen before, and that was also interesting.
I guess so.
So Alice Cooper definitely up there as far as the American influence. New York Dolls, another big American influence with me. Of course, the Ramones changed everything. And on the British side, it was David Bowie, T-Rex, Martha Hoople, that kind of thing.
Yep, you have the same exact taste that we do. We love T-Rex at this show.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah, we play lots of
very underrated band.
Yeah, they were much more famous in Britain than they, were in the States, of course, too.
Yeah, Mark Bolan was huge. Yeah, they were like the Beatles. Mark Bolan was just God over there for
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we do one of their songs as well for a cover.
Nice. Well, I'll tell you what,
20th
man.
Century Boy.
Oh, great one. I'm gonna personally try to find a copy of the new album. I'd like to have one for our library. So when I let you go tonight, I'm gonna get one of those somehow.
Oh yeah, and I'll send you there's a Google link that I have as well, which it makes it free. So I'll send you that.
Well, I'd like to get purchase a copy of the discs so the money goes in your pocket. But if you could sign that copy, for us, that would be great, man.
Oh, that'd be great. Thanks very much. Yes.
Cool. Well, we'd like to say thank you so much for taking the time to join us from Toronto, Canada. We are listening to an interview with Ted Axe, legendary rocker and punk rocker from Canada, and we're going to play a really killer song. Trust me, guys. This song is really good, and it's the song that made me want to interview Ted. It's really good. And you can find the video on YouTube, actually. But the song is called Get Out of Rehab. Ted Axe, I want to say thanks. Anything else you'd like to close with, bro?
Well, I've always had a soft spot for the Pacific Northwest, having lived in Seattle for 9 years. So, it was great talking to you guys. I have a Ted Axe fans group on Facebook, which is fast growing. So I'd love to see you guys there. And check me out on social media sites, and check those tunes out on YouTube. So looking forward to seeing some of your listeners on my TEDx fans group.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. Take note, brothers and sisters. It's Ted Axe, A-X-E. This song is called Get Out of Rehab. And Ted, thanks again, brother, and rock on.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.